Hey, it's Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualise, my asexual life. This is the place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my own asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed yet, please do hit the great big subscribe button down below right here, right now. Please hit that bell icon to get notified of every time I go live like now or post a new video. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up as we're going along if you're enjoying the content. If you don't know who I am Sandra Bellamy, author of this beautiful book, Asexual Perspectives, 47 Asexual Stories, Love, Life and Sex, a celebration of asexual diversity. I'm also the founder of asexualise.com, the founder of Asexualise Academy. Welcome to tonight's episode. Tonight I want to talk to you about you don't have to try sex. Now, as you know, I'm writing this second book for asexuals. This is my first one that's already out on Amazon, came out in 2017. And this year, I'm writing Asexual Guide to Sex. It's a very, very interesting book, very intimately told, very powerful. You can really understand the contrast between the asexual thinking about sex and the way it is for us, and the sexual thinking about sex and the way it is for them. And one of the things that I wanted to bring up from the book already as I'm going through the stories is I wanted to actually say a really important message that is coming out of the book, and that is you don't have to try sex. And I was thinking to myself, I don't actually think I've done a video specifically saying these words, you don't have to try sex. And I think it's really important to know that you don't, because society seems to be hell-bent on telling everyone that they need to have sex in order to be in a loving, healthy, happy relationship, and it simply is not true. Yes, if you are asexual and the person you are dating or in a relationship with has a very high sex drive, they want, like, and need sex, tons of it, and you don't want to do it, yes, that's not really going to work. You're not compatible, right? So there are instances where it's not going to be compatible, so that relationship wouldn't be happy for you both to be in. But you can still be in a relationship and it be happy without sex. And so there's an important message when some of the asexuals are given advice in my book, is that you don't have to try sex. My Asexual Guide to Sex book is not saying that everyone has to try sex. It's the opposite. In fact, it's a book that you should read before you decide whether you should have sex or not, so you can make a very informed choice or decision if sex is going to be right thing for you to do as an asexual person. Asexuals do think very differently about sex. We think of it more from a logical point of view, more from a physical point of view, more from a mechanical point of view, in the sense of going through the motions. We are more detached from the "oh my god, isn't this great" experience, because a lot of asexuals, they don't experience so much that "oh my god, isn't this great" experience with sex. They might still get the physical pleasure from it, they might still get orgasms from it, but it's kind of like not an innate need of ours to have sex. It's like a thing we may choose to do or not choose to do. And that's the other important thing that I want to tell you with this video, is you do have a choice. And that's why it's important that some of the asexuals in my book have pointed out that you don't have to try sex. Sex is not something you have to ever do in your life. You don't have to try it, like, you don't have to be a kid in a sweet shop that sees all these sweets and just wants to eat them, unless you really want to do that, right? Some sweets you won't want to eat, right? They'll be sour, they'll taste bitter or whatever, and you'll be just like, oh, I'm not trying that. Don't like that color, don't like that style of sweet, don't like that taste, don't like the look of it, And that's what it can be like with a person. You don't like the look of sex. You don't like the thinking of sex. You don't like the appearance of sex. You don't want to try it. You don't want to eat it. You don't want to munch on it. And you just don't want to suck on it, lick it, or do whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's all fine. You don't have to try sex. You don't have to do anything sexual as well if you don't want to. It's very important. Obviously, if you're looking to be in a relationship, then you need to find someone compatible with you. And if you are with someone who's got the opposite needs to you, You know, you can't be happy unless you're willing to compromise and do something. But the whole point is you don't have to compromise yourself. You shouldn't compromise your own comfort for someone else's sexual satisfaction. Do you see what I'm saying? You know, my asexual guide to sex book has got such brilliant advice. You know, this is the advice that's some of the advice that's coming out of the book. And I wanted to share it with you. It's a bit like a prequel of what's to come in the book, you know, because this book is amazing. It's like nothing I've ever experienced before as an author and writer myself. It's just so incredible, the amount of information, advice, guidance, help and support to do with sex, and especially if you're asexual. It's just like mind-blowingly good stuff, you know. And each asexual has a different personal experience to share. Some's good, some's not so good, you know. And so I just wanted to make it clear that you don't have to try sex. It's okay if you've been a virgin all your life as well. That is perfectly fine. If you want to stay a virgin, that's perfectly fine. I haven't had sex since 2011 and I'm happy about it. You know, I said to someone in a group, I think it was a dating group that's not the asexual dating group. That's right. It was UK dating, which isn't an asexual group. It's on Facebook. I decided to join it and told them I'm asexual. And when a guy was commenting on one of the was commenting in one of his posts, I think he was saying stuff, and I said to him some stuff like, oh, I'm asexual, so I don't want sex in a relationship, and I also live in the UK. And he's like, oh, I'm really sorry to hear that. Like, he felt sorry for me, like there was something wrong with me or something wrong with that. It's like, no, there's not something wrong with it. I said, I really like being asexual. I think it's great to have love without sex. To me, it's the purest form of love, you know? So he's like, oh, you know, because he didn't realise. He was thinking like there was something wrong, but there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with you not having sex, you not wanting it, not needing it, and not even trying it. I have to make that perfectly clear to you because, you know, society is so forcing, like from a very, very, very young age. I mean, even I think I mentioned this before on this channel. I was horrified when I did actually see an advert for a kids show, and the kids were like, I don't know, between the age of 5 and 7. I think they're probably more like 5 years old, and they all had this jewelry on, loads of jewelry and loads of makeup, and it was all their show was all like, oh, it's coming up, and we're talking about boys, and we're talking about boys. Oh, and we're talking about boys. And it's like, you know, from a very, very young age, everyone's being mind controlled and manipulated and conditioned into thinking you've got to be attracted to the opposite sex for a start, and you've got to be attracted. I mean, I am attracted to the opposite gender, but just not sexually. And you know, there's this huge focus on relationships, and when they're done up like dolly birds or dolls, you know, with makeup and jewelry on at that young age, I mean, what sort of message is it putting out to the youngsters? I'm young anyway, but the very, very, very young kids, what sort of message is it putting out to them that, oh, we're doing this whole program, it's all centered around boys, so we need boys, we have to have boys, we must be with boys, you know, and we must dress up for them, and we must put makeup on for them and look a certain way. And you know, that just isn't a very good attitude to take. You know, you should be dressing up for yourself. Kids should be, you know, having self-confidence put into themselves. You know, there's such a lack of education in this whole world. You know, kids should be taught from a very young age about boundaries and being assertive. I was never taught about boundaries and being assertive. I only learned it as an adult a few years ago. Well, in 2013, which is like, I'm 2019 we're in now when I'm recording this, so it's 6 years. But, you know, you can imagine that I've had a life before then, and I never even knew about boundaries and assertiveness. But kids aren't taught that, are they? Kids are like taught about, oh, everything's a romantic relationship, everything's airy-fairy. And, you know, like when you get to a certain age, you want sex and you've got to have it, you know, and everyone's doing it. And I just think that's such a wrong message to put out to people. And, you know, I want you to know that there's nothing to be ashamed of. You know, if you haven't had sex in your life, it's something to be proud of, to be quite frank with you. I think it's something to be so proud of if you've kept that for yourself. And if you have managed to be strong in the face of adversity of why aren't you doing that? Why aren't you having sex, you know? that doesn't mean to say there's anything wrong with asexuals that do want to try it. I've had sex in the past, but I'm saying, you know, if you've kept that for yourself, if you've been strong enough. I wasn't strong enough when I was 16. I was pressured into having sex at the age of 16, like manipulated somewhat. The guy did actually come back loads and loads of years later and apologized to me for the way he treated me, actually, which was nice and good. But yeah, that's the only person that did apologize out of all the guys I had that didn't treat me well. But at least that was a good gesture, you know. It doesn't change what happened, but it did help, you know, to not think so much in bad ways about the whole thing all the time, you know. But the fact was, I was pressurized into it, and when you're pressurized to lose your virginity, you have lost that for good, you know. You haven't got that for yourself. You may have lost it to someone who really wasn't worth it. And in many ways, that guy wasn't worth it, but I thought he was the first guy I loved, and I thought he really cared about me, and we did get on well at the time. So you know, but I was pressured, you know. It's like all my friends are doing it, you know, and it was all a case of like, I want to do it, you know, I'm older than you, I want to do that, you know, and it was just pressure, you know. And it was a fear that I was going to lose him, and I was 16 at the time, you know. So I decided to do that, and you know, it's hard, isn't it, when you're pressured into it, and you know, and it did, you know, that wasn't good how it was done, you know. And so if there's people out there that listen to this, you're asexual, or maybe you're not even asexual, but you've decided that you're not going to have sex right now, or if you're asexual, might decide you're never going to have it, or if you're celibate and just decide to abstain even though you're not asexual, then I want you to be proud of yourself, you know. There's nothing to be ashamed of. It's a good thing that you haven't done that, you know. There was an asexual in one of the groups that came in and said they were a certain, you know, in their early 40s, and they'd never had sex. They'd had oral, but they'd never had intercourse, you know. And it's kind of like, well, and the way the person put it, it was kind of like, I thought phrased a bit like, you know, it's really unusual, which I guess in the greater scheme of the heterosexual world it is. But you know, one person said, I think there's a lot of people that can relate to you, you know. I mean, some asexuals, they haven't done even oral sex, but this guy was saying it didn't really do anything for him. It didn't produce any results, if you know what I mean. So I think that's how asexuals can differ as well in sex, in that some of us experience the physical sensations, we experience fluids releasing, or some experience orgasms. I still don't really get what an orgasm is, but in my personal experience, I don't get that, oh, so orgasmic thing, you know. I can make noises like heavy breathing, like I'm having sex, and you know what I mean, when I'm kissing, just from kissing. But that's it. I get pleasure out of kissing, not the sex. I couldn't care less about sex. Really couldn't. I'm so glad I haven't had sex in 2011. I just can't do it again. Like, I used to be in heterosexual relationships for half my life. I used to think I was heterosexual, but I didn't realize I experienced arousal, but I don't experience any sexual attraction. And that was just it. I mean, I didn't realize. I thought sexual attraction and arousal just go together hand in hand, and they're exactly the same. But I thought I was a heterosexual that didn't really like sex that much, you know? And so that's where I am. I'm highly aroused by kissing, but I don't like the sex. And maybe some touching as well, you know? Well, in certain places, yeah. But, you know, you don't have to have sex. You don't have to try it. You don't have to press anyone. You don't have to be ashamed of it. I think, you know, it's something to be quite proud of. There are people who are single. Oh, thank you for the thumbs up. There are people that are single for a very long time, you know, and they're not even asexual. And some of them are single for all their life. And presumably some of those people don't ever have sex either, even though they're not asexual. And, you know, there's arguments for and against the fact that if you're single all your life, that you can live longer. You know, some people I know say that being single, you actually live longer. Other people say, you know, that you can have a long, really long relationship, you know, and happy relationship. If you do certain things, you could be together for like over your hundreds, you know. So it's debatable as where it's best to be single or together in a relationship. Oh, hi Heather, did you give it a thumbs up? Oh, thank you. You're adorable. I love Heather. She's amazing. She's always supporting this channel. Thank you, Heather. Yeah, I just wanted to do this video really to say this, you know, because it's very, very, very important. Very important, you know. I just really feel that that society just pushes and shoves this on you like all the time. And I think it's very damaging. You know, I think a lot of asexuals, when we're younger and we don't realise we're asexual, we can feel very different. You know, like I remember when I was at school thinking about romance, thinking about guys, being romantic with them, as in kissing them and going on dates with them and holding their hand and just being with them in their arms. But I never ever thought about sex. It never ever crossed my mind. You know, it never ever crossed my mind. It's never crossed my mind. Even when I've been in heterosexual relationships, I've never looked at my guy at the time and thought, oh, I really want sex with you. Sometimes in the past, I would have initiated it to feel more in control because I could tell he wanted it anyway. So it's like sometimes it's a bit better to be in control of the situation yourself and be able to control the amount of penetration and stuff than just have the person just do that to you. But you know, I much prefer a life without sex, you know. 8 years now, and it was October actually, 2011 was the last time I had it. So obviously it's October 2019 now. So 8 years I've been without sex, and I have to say it's the best feeling in the world. You know, I felt when I was having sex, it was very difficult. I was paranoid that I would get pregnant, which I don't ever want to be pregnant. I don't like the idea of pregnancy, and I would hate it to happen to me ever. I'm very repulsed by that idea. I know some asexuals have sex for kids still, and personally, it used to freak me out. I used to be constantly paranoid I was going to get pregnant, and it used to just it was a horrible pressure on me constantly, even though I was on contraception. You know, I was constantly worried about it. And then obviously if you have an upset tummy, if you didn't know, it can cancel the pill out. And I got irritable bowel syndrome. I used to. Now I live a happier life. I get less of that, far less. I don't have it very often, which is great. So I don't need to take tablets for that anymore. You know, and now I've been single. Since I've been single, I don't need to take the tablets. Isn't that great? You know, benefit of being single. But yeah, there's loads of benefits of being single and not having sex, you know, and not having sex in a relationship, you know, no worries about pregnancy, no worries about condoms splitting, you know. Because, I mean, you know, the pill's not 100%. I know I have a friend and sorry, I live near a train station. I had a friend and at the age of 17, she got pregnant because the contraception didn't work. So it's not foolproof. Do you know what I'm saying? And people think it is, but it's not. And so, you know, they're like daughter and they're more like sisters than daughter and mother. And I still speak to her. She's from my primary school and secondary school. So yeah. So it's just, you know, that I just want to clarify that you don't have to have sex, and I prefer a sex-free life, you know. I mean, obviously for the Asexual Guide to Sex book, I will be giving my overall view of sex, the things that were fine about it, the things that could be good for asexuals to enjoy, the things that I didn't like about it. You know, so I'll be giving a very good overview of good and bad things, you know. I won't say everything's bad about it. But for me these days, I just my whole soul and being just won't let me have sex anymore. It just can't. I can't describe how it feels. It just feels like I'm frozen in terms of the sex thing. Not because I couldn't really do it if I really, really want to, but the whole point is I don't really want to anymore. The whole point is I can't do that. The whole point is my whole being's like not into that anymore. But kissing I love, and I loved, possibly even doing some other sexual stuff. But like even oral sex, I don't really want to do that anymore. I'm not really into that. It's not really my thing. It's like a bit ugh. And so the kissing and stuff like that I love, but I much prefer a sex-free life that, like I said, you don't have to worry about contraception, you don't have to worry about getting pregnant, you don't have to like do it and it hurt you. You don't have to like have your partner instigating sex. Like my ex used to come up and instigate sex. It's like I don't, it's like I'd rather be doing other things. Do you know what I mean? It's like I don't want it right now. Thanks very much. Not that I ever really want it, but there's certain times that I really don't want it. Do you know what I mean? Like and exactly worry about STDs. Apparently though, you can still get some infections if you're having like oral sex, because some people still have oral sex and stuff like that. They can still get some, is it sexually transmitted infections? No, I don't worry about STDs because I haven't had sex for years. But and I haven't had oral sex for years, thank God either. I haven't had to do that for a lot of years. It's good. It's good. It's really good. I haven't done anything. I haven't taken my clothes off in front of a guy since my ex in 2011. I quite like it to stay that way. Thanks very much. Do you know what I mean? I'm not interested in that, And I think it's really important that people hear that there's someone like me who's not interested in having sex, and I actually have had it and prefer a sex-free life. Oral sex is gross, bodily fluid is gross. But yeah, I mean, I didn't like doing that for the guy in the terms of I had to spit it out. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you want to give your partner pleasure and they really enjoy it from the theoretical point of view, they like that and it feels good for them. That's great. But from the actual practice of doing it, I can't swallow that stuff. It's disgusting. I had to go straight to the sink and spit it out. And you can get a little bit worried after a while because you know that it's going to happen. So sometimes just before I knew it was going to happen, I used to just take my mouth away and it would go everywhere, all over body and bedding. But it's better that than in my mouth. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes it can be difficult because you've kind of got to get it right for the person. I'm talking in practical, theoretical terms now. You kind of got to get it right. So you've got to do it enough for the person to actually come, but take your mouth away so you don't get it in there. Or you just keep it in your mouth and spit it out in the sink, which I've done before. But it's just like, it's not something I particularly enjoy doing. It's not something that tastes nice to me. I know there are people that do enjoy the taste of oral sex. I didn't like the taste of it. It's kind of really like Heather puts it gross to me. And so it's just, there's no point in me doing it, because I'm not comfortable doing it. I don't like doing that, I don't see any point in that, it's pretty gross. If I had to choose between oral sex or hand job, as they call it, I'd rather do the hand thing than oral sex. It's like pee. I wish it was more like peeing away, Heather, but it's not. But yes, I don't like pee either. I would never like pee in my mouth. But in terms of like that stuff in your mouth or oral sex stuff, it's like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like lumpy and thick and it's like, I think I better stop talking about it. It's making me a bit like, but yeah, it's not something I like. Yeah, I'll get off that subject now. But yeah, I don't want to do hand things really either. Do you know what I mean? But it's just out of the two that, vomit exactly. But out of the two, I think the hand thing's better. But the hand thing hurts. It used to hurt my wrist. I used to do it that much. It's like, oh man, my wrist is hurting. I don't have to worry about now either. I have to say, the completely sex-free life is amazing. I don't have to worry about painful intercourse. I don't have to worry about pregnancy. I don't have to worry about STDs. I don't have to worry about my hands aching from doing hand jobs. I don't have to worry about disgusting stuff in my mouth that I had to spit out because it's just gross. I don't have to worry about anything to do with that. And so for anyone who's watching this video, you know, I've said it before and I'll say it again, you really don't have to try sex, because there are a lot of elements to sex that you very much might not enjoy, and you might not like it, and it might be very gross and horrible to you, and you might be better off without it, you know? I'm saying might because I don't want to, like, you know, if asexuals want to try it, because I'm glad I tried it though. I have to say that. I am glad I tried it. I think I would want to still try it if I could go back, because I've asked myself that question, which is a bit weird about, but I think I think I'm glad I've tried it. I don't know if that's because of the experience I have can help you guys, and I did have good sex, not just bad sexual experiences, and I guess it was interesting. And I've learnt so much through the experience. I guess part of me thinks, yeah, I would try it again. But if I'd have known it would hurt, then I probably wouldn't have wanted to try it, because I hate pain. I'm very, very pain adverse. But it didn't hurt that much the first time I did it. Actually, lots of women apparently do, but it didn't really hurt that much at the beginning. It's actually more painful later on for me, I think. Yeah. But you know, I don't want to say everything's bad about it, because, you know, I did do that quite a few times, but other times, you know, I'll go 2 or 3 months without doing that. But if I compare my old life to my life now, I'm so much more happier. Do you know what I mean? And I mean, obviously I wasn't with a great person, but I really would prefer to be with an asexual guy who don't have to worry about him going off with another woman either, having sex. Do you know what I mean? And so I think sex, you know, they say money is the root of all evil, but sometimes I think sex is the root of all evil. Do you know what I mean? In the sense that, you know, it leads to affairs, it leads to betrayal, it leads to hurt and pain, and, you know, sometimes coercement and manipulation. And it's just, you know, but having said that, you know, I don't want to say that entirely, because some people have wonderful sexual experiences. Some asexuals even have incredible sexual experiences despite not having the sexual attraction there, you know? And so when I do my book, I am going to give an overview of the, you know, the good and the bad, you know, with it, not just one way or the other, because I think if you're a person, if you're an asexual that doesn't mind doing that, then you could experience some sensations that you like. I mean, I liked being touched and stuff. I mean, I did used to get naked with my partner, so I'm very different to how, you know, I was very different back then in that way to how I am now. Like, I don't need my upper part touching and stuff like that, but, you know, there's certain places that I would still probably like to be touched. And so some physical intimacy or touching is okay to me. And I think that's the point, really, is you should only do what you feel comfortable with, and only do what you like. And if you only like being touched, because some asexuals do, and you don't like sex, that's perfectly fine as well. You just got to find someone who's compatible in that way, someone who doesn't mind that. Because the problem is, when you date, in my experience, when I date heterosexuals, you know, the touching them in the past, especially the touching very much is geared towards a prequel to sex. You know, that's what they usually do it for, heterosexuals. It's usually like working you up to have sex, you know, like getting you in the mood, which it gets me in the mood for kissing, but don't get me in the mood for sex. Do you know what I mean? And so you know, it was like I felt a bit deflated at times when we were doing the kissing, and then all of a sudden it'd be like, well, we have to switch now to sex. That felt deflating as an asexual, because it's like, well, I just want to kiss. I don't want, you know, I just want to carry on kissing. But it's kind of like, okay, we've done lots of kissing now. You've got the thing to, you know, we do the thing that you want to do. So you know what I mean? And I was kind of used to it. And they used to kind of like touch and kiss me still while they were doing it some of the time anyway. But you know, it's kind of like, it's a bit deflating. It's like I like the finger as well, which is quite bold to admit, you know, and the finger and the lips were what I liked. Wasn't bothered about anything else, didn't want anything else, didn't need anything else. And I just wanted to carry on, for the guy to carry on doing that. But then he wanted the sex, you know, and it's like, I get that because he was heterosexual and I wasn't, but and I didn't know it at the time. But it's just like, like I guess some guys who kiss a lot and don't get the sex, they feel frustrated that they're not getting the sex. I felt the opposite in terms of I felt frustration that I wasn't getting the kisses anymore. I think he did kiss me sometimes when we were having sex, but it wasn't, it's like I just wanted the kissing. It's like, just please carry on this. I'm really, really enjoying this moment. I'm loving this kissing intimacy. I just want to do this all the time for a long, long time. But it's like, no, we need to have sex now. And it's like, oh, okay. And that for me is just deflating as an asexual. Asexuals can have physical needs like sexuals can. And some asexuals do have strong physical needs. Like I do need a lot of kissing. And some touching's okay too, if I've known the person a long time in a serious committed relationship with them. But only in certain places. But it's like I feel a bit deprived. I think it's really important to get that across, that asexuals can feel deprived in physical ways in relationships. Like if you're not getting enough kissing, if you're essential asexual as opposed to asexual, if you're essential asexual is someone who likes to be touched, like massage and stroked and caressed and felt. I like some touching, but not all. Like I don't really like to touch. Well, I don't really like to touch the guy below the waist, but I like to stroke his arms and his hands and his hair and his face, and I'm happy to kiss his chest and all that lot. So I'm sensual to the top part of a guy, but not the bottom part. I don't want that. And so we all have our own unique needs, and it is really important, because even in my asexual perspectives book, there is someone there in this book that says their physical needs, they do have physical needs, and their physical needs are rarely met. And I think that's so important to acknowledge, because people are kind of like, I think, assume that asexuals are one way and sexuals the other. And like asexuals, well, if they're not into sex, they're not into any touching, they're not into any physicality, they just want like a platonic friend, which is kind of a very big stereotype of asexuals. I mean, some asexuals do want a platonic relationship, or a friend that's in a platonic relationship with them, or a QPR, queer platonic relationship. Some people want a platonic friend. But to say that as a blanket statement and think that all asexuals, that's all we want, is simply not true. And for those asexuals, particularly the more romantic asexuals and the ones that are very sensual, need some physical contact, we can feel very deprived if we've got a sexual person and they just want to focus on the sex and they don't want to focus on that other aspect. That leaves us feeling deprived. Like, where's our bit? But I think it's not just a thing with asexuals. I think there's a major, major problem with heterosexuals. I think in my experience of guys, the guy that was good at sex was because he did give me a lot of my physical needs, not as long as I would have liked, but he still did them for me, and a lot of them, consistently. Whereas, the other guys that weren't good at sex, they just didn't do, it was just like, stick it in. It's like, how boring is that? And I think that's a problem with a lot of sexuals throughout the world. Those that are heterosexual, for example, or do like sexuals, I'm talking about, not asexuals now. The sexuals, I don't think they give each other the needs. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes I think there's so much focus on the actual act of sex, and it's like, what about the rest of the sensual touching and kissing and everything like that? So I think it's important to acknowledge that no one, not asexual, anyone, needs to have sex. You don't have to have it. It's also important to acknowledge that if you want to do some sexual acts but not others, that's okay too. It's also important to know if you want to do no sexual acts and have a completely sexless relationship, that's okay too. The point is, everything is okay. And my point is that all this drumming into your brain of needing sex to be happy, healthy, and have a loving relationship is just not good. Pete Crabby, what's the most extreme thing that turns you on? Well, I'm asexual, Pete. So I think you've missed the I think you've missed the point of this channel. I'm asexual, lack sexual attraction. But if we're talking about turn on, it's kissing. I love kissing, but I get aroused, but I don't want sex because I'm asexual. I lack sexual attraction. I have no need, urge, or desire for sex whatsoever in my entire life. So I don't need a guy's private parts. I don't need a guy's body. I just like the kissing. So yeah, that's it. That's it. That's it. The kissing is the best thing for me in whole of a relationship in terms of physicality. Yes, cuddling's nice too, and holding hands, public displays of affection. That'll be nice. I'm not gonna say that turns me on. It's just being nice, romantic thing. You know, I'm romantic. I'm asexual, so yeah, I'm not sexually attracted to anyone, and I only like guys romantically. But yeah, so it's really important to note as well that you don't have to be turned on by anything. You know, many asexuals don't need or get the want or edge for sex. In general, none of us do. You know, there are a few on the more grey end of the asexual spectrum. And but in general, we don't get the need, urge, or want for partner sexual intercourse, and that is okay. Clothes on turns her on. Yeah, keeping my clothes on. Exactly. And if I see a guy in street clothes in his 20s, foreign, yeah, that's really nice to look at as well. And I do like a guy in clothes, yes. If clothes come off, it gets so boring. That's okay, but most people have one thing that they find they enjoy. I don't like sex, you know, I'm not interested in sex. I haven't had sex for 8 years. And the one thing I love is kissing. I kiss 3 to 4 hours of kissing does make me feel aroused. So that's it. I don't get any pleasure out of sex, but the kissing I love. So you know what I mean? I'm not interested in a guy. So yeah, in below the waist. I like a guy. I always say my saying is I'm attracted to a guy's face, not below the waist. Yeah, that's my saying. I'm attracted to a guy's face, not below the waist. If I like the guy, so I like younger foreign guys, aesthetically. So if a younger foreign aesthetically good looking guy is kissing me, that's great. But I get aroused just by the thought of kissing with no one involved in it whatsoever. There doesn't have to be another person involved because I'm asexual. And I think that's important to note. Some asexuals don't need anyone else to be involved to feel aroused or to think about stuff like that. I can get aroused on my own. I don't need a guy involved. I just like, I can enjoy kissing. The thought of kissing is just amazing. I love kissing. That's absolutely fantastic. Tongue kissing, specifically, more than anything. There are people out there that don't like oral sex. Yes. I don't like oral sex these days. I never really liked it in the first place. I was only doing it for my partner at the time. But yeah, now I realise I'm asexual and I don't have to have that. It's great. So, I mean, to be honest, there are a lot of people that probably don't find that very good, like some people like giving though, and some people like receiving. Some people like giving but not receiving, and some people like receiving but not giving, and some people, both partners, like it. And in some cases, with a lot of asexuals, neither of us like it because we don't need to do that. So yes, I think it's very, very important to notice that we're all different. And that's the point of this video, that it's okay if you don't ever have sex in your life. There's nothing wrong with that, and it's okay if you don't want to do sexual acts. It's okay to be who you are and who you were born to be. And I just think it's a shame that society and schools don't teach this, that so I just think it's a shame that they don't. Pete Krabby, so you would sooner masturbate? I don't know. I would sooner kiss. Thank you very much. I've had all the, I don't really need to answer that question, but no, I'd rather kiss. Masturbation don't really, I'm not really into masturbation. You know, like, I'd rather be doing other stuff. I like kissing. Do you know what I mean? Kissing. Kissing, kissing, kissing. Just kissing. It's great. Kissing, 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 and more kissing for 3 to 4 hours is wonderful. Yes. That's my ideal physicality in a relationship. Kissing. Kissing, kissing, kissing. Kissing and more kissing. And more kissing. It's a very good workout when you're kissing as well. With clothes on. Clothes on. Not kissing naked. I hate naked. I don't like. I'm nudity repulsed. I'm not into nakedness either. I do not see the appeal in the naked body whatsoever. I think it's gross. I like a guy with clothes on. I don't mind if the guy in private has got his top off. I can just about deal with that, but not anything else. Thank you very much. And I like street look, and I like a guy in a suit as well. Black and white suit. And street look. Like street dance movies. The guys in that are so good looking in street dance movies, like Step Up movies. They're wonderful. I absolutely love Step Up movies. That's great. Yeah, I like foreign guys mostly, but guys in their early 20s to mid 20s is my favourite age group. So yeah, just kissing. Yeah, that does everything for me. Gives me dopamine hit. Makes me feel great. It was wonderful. I could just like, do you know what I mean? But yeah, I tend to only date asexual guys because sexual guys need sex usually, and I'm not prepared to do that because I don't like it. So I used to have that in the past because I just thought I had to. But then one day in 2014, I discovered I just couldn't bring myself to ever do that ever again. And there I am on this channel a year later. 2015, I've been doing this channel since. That's like 4 years now. We're in 2019. October 2015 it was. Oh yeah, 4-year anniversary soon. It's very exciting. Very exciting. So yeah, anyway, I better love you and leave you. But just for now. But yeah, just be so happy to be yourself. And you know, if you have got friends or young people around you, just make sure that when they get to teenager years that you tell them that, you know, it's okay if they don't have sex or want it or need it. You know, it's okay if they do, and it's okay if they don't. You know, there's no pressure, and they can still be happy and healthy and have a good relationship without it. You know, and there are people in the world that are asexual who just don't need it, don't want it, and don't have to have it. You know, I think it's really, really important to spread that word, you know, spread that love, spread that understanding. Anyway, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much for the questions and for watching. Thank you, Heather, for taking part tonight. You're absolutely amazing. Heather is always supporting me on this channel. Love Heather to bits. Thank you, Pete, for joining in the conversation. And thanks to everyone who tunes in and is part of this community. I really appreciate you so much. Thanks, Heather. Have a great night to you too. Please give this video a thumbs up if you're still watching this, or if you're watching it on the replay, you know, after the live stream. Don't forget to share it if you think someone needs to hear this message, that you don't have to have sex. It's really important that they hear this message. Or if it's someone, you know, that's a youngster that's, you know, around the age of having sex, and you want to just give them a message and say, look, it's fine if you don't want to have it. You know, your friends might be pressurizing you a bit. People at school might be saying everyone's doing it, but it's okay. There are people that don't do it. So if you don't want to, you don't have to, you know, and you can still have a happy life without it, you know, because I think there's a lot of pressure that, and that, you know, happiness and sex seem to be put together. And I think that's really wrong. They're two separate things. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to have sex to be happy. And if you're happy, you don't have to have sex. Do you know what I mean? And so, you know, they don't ultimately go together. Do you know what I'm saying? and they especially don't go together if you don't want it in the first place. So until next time, embrace your quirky and each other's. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, hit that great big bell icon to get notified of every time I go live like now or post a new video. Thank you for joining me on tonight's episode. I really appreciate it. Thanks for being part of my community here, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video or live stream. If you didn't watch it all from the beginning, please do catch it on the replay. And so I will see you on the next live stream. Thank you so much. Bye.